So much of the conversation around anti-trans laws involves massively overheated rhetoric that does not match the reality of kids' actual situations. And interestingly, a lot of it's been fueled by some of the same players behind the critical race theory panic, who...
I know. He's like, listen, I don't have enough substance here, because if I actually dig into the substance of this, he'll find out that he's actually wrong. So he's like, I got to throw critical race theory in here too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't think about it till just now. So he tries to go into the, finger quote science, some of the trans issues later in the video. But notice that when it came to the science related to trans women in sports, there's no science.
Non-existent.
It doesn't say anything. There's nothing there except one high school student making that argument.
Yeah, the argument that I destroyed and Sitch did too, but a little more tepidly.
There you go.
As we discussed, we're using it as a wedge issue to promote school choice. In fact, one key architect of the CRT panic, Christopher Rufo, recently pivoted to attacking trans rights, and he has openly discussed the strategy behind doing that.
What I'm looking at, and it's just kind of an ongoing series, I just started it, is to take that same system of reporting, that same style of reporting as I did with critical race theory, but now taking a look at gender ideology. What's happening right now is parents are feeling that. They're feeling though.
So this is very dishonest too, because he said, I'm taking the same style of reporting and information gathering that I did with CRT, and I'm applying it to like the trans issue.
Yeah, it's called journalism.
Yeah, I mean, why is that a bad thing? They frame that as like, oh, this is nefarious. It's like,
right, exactly.
Okay. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's nefarious to John Oliver because he's never engaged in journalism in his entire life, like as a propagandist.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like John Oliver. He's a piece of shit. He's a liar and a deceiver.
Well, it's disappointing. It's disappointing because number one, he was funny in Community,
right?
And number two, before all the woke stuff, I would watch John Oliver's program occasionally, and he had some pretty good shows where he would talk about issues that no one else was talking about, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. But now I'm suspect to think, well, maybe those all bullshit from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oof, this is kind of weird. I'm kind of uncomfortable with this, but I'm scared to speak out. And so what we have to do is we have to give them the kind of media narrative, kind of justification or validation or substantiation of their concerns to say, hey, this is the kind of thing they're teaching in schools. And then we have to give them the language where they can speak about it with confidence, they can speak about it directly, and they can speak about it with the requisite level of aggressiveness that it's going to take to say, hey, wait a minute, we have to stop this.
Yeah,
So I don't know why Chris Rufo keeps doing this, but he does. Like, there's nothing technically wrong with what he said, because what he's saying is essentially that there are parents who they don't like this for whatever reason. Maybe they're trying to give bad arguments like Adam is trying to give against high school kids. Maybe
they're so mean.
Maybe they can't, verbalize themselves exactly in the best way.
Oh my God, it's getting worse.
And so Christopher Rufo is like, so we're going to try to give them like the best,
talking points,
most persuasive arguments and talking points, blah, 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 which is literally, by the way, what every political and non-political but issue advocacy group in the country does.
Of course.
They go to people and they try to give them,
it's what John Oliver is doing in this video.
Right. But the thing that's interesting about it is that even though that happens, and we all know it happens, it's very rarely directly talked about publicly in that, like that openly, that's what's happening. And so when Rufo says it, like he says what is true, but he just says it out in the open like that, it makes it very easy for people like John Oliver and other people to attack him because they're like, oh, look, he's just, because they kind of twist around and say like, oh, see, he's lying, or he's trying to trick people, or he's trying to give people like dishonest talking points, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And he should just not say this.
Right. He should just say, we're spelling it out for people.
Right. He should just find it. And it's weird because I think Rufo has done a very good job at crafting the legislation he's crafting. He's obviously done a very good job at persuading politicians, but yet he keeps stepping into this trap when it comes to his own rhetoric. And it was the same thing with CRT. They kept hammering him with that CRT thing that he said about, we're going to make CRT synonymous with every bad thing, that the left is doing. And it's just, they just keep hammering with it. And he keeps walking into that trap. And it's like, Chris, don't do it. Stop. Don't walk into that trap.
I mean, I question whether or not it's dumb or brilliant, because it does give the left something to freak out about that I think normal people will not really freak out about. So I think like that political tweet thing, it did get Christopher Rufo a lot of screen time on a lot of different platforms. And I feel like it's not really that bad what he said.
Well, I get it's a gamble, I guess, because on one hand, you're right. It definitely, like Kanye, makes a lot of people talk about
Right. But it's not as bad as what Kanye's doing.
Obviously. But the downside of it is that it basically allows everyone in the mainstream media a very easy argument to just immediately dismiss anything that he ever says. Like instantaneously just say, oh, we can just dismiss him because here's a clip of him admitting that he's lying or being dishonest. He's not, but that's how they frame it, and that's how people on the left will perceive it. And I don't know if him gaining infamy is worth that easy dismissal that the media gets against him. I don't think he needs to be more famous. I don't think he needs the publicity because he's already has the ear, obviously, of so many politicians. So I'm not sure it's worth the trade-off.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you even collect data on that?
No, obviously you couldn't, but
just guesstimations.
Basically giving people a script to repeat. And say what you want about Chris Rufo, like, for instance, that he's a fear-mongering troll who looks like what would happen if someone made the recipe for Ryan Gosling but forgot to add the hotness.
Yeah, I mean, making fun of people's
I never knew
looks.
how similar they looked until he saw his picture. That's crazy. Look at that.
I mean, it's an insult to say someone looks like Ryan Gosling now. I mean,
We're saying he looks like an ugly Ryan Gosling.
Oh, is that what he's saying?
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which,
I mean,
to be fair,
you just
compared
said he
to
looked
Ryan
similar.
Gosling, I think most men would probably
I know.
be considered not as attractive.
I mean, 3/4 the way to Ryan Gosling. I just gonna
Pretty
call
decent, yeah.
I'm gonna call a win.
There you go. There you go. He just listen. He just needs to change his hair a little bit, maybe shave his eyebrows down a little bit.
I mean, Christopher Rufo has a very attractive wife and a bunch of kids, so I don't think he's hurt by this.
Christopher Rufo's wife. Now I gotta Google this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not like I don't think he's ugly or anything. But
I mean,
is her
John
name?
Oliver.
Supahatra?
Yeah, I think she's
Thai.
Yeah, he's got
Supahatra. That's a cool ass name. That sounds like she's an anime character.
Superhatra? Is that her name?
Her name is Superhatra. Yeah, there you go.
Hilarious.
Superhatra.
So, what do you think? Comparable to Madonna's boobs, or over under? What's
She's hotter than Madonna with her fucked up face, but I think it's a very low bar.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, we covered Christopher Rufo last week, and I don't get the Christopher Rufo hate, but.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, it's very obvious. He's politically effective. What do you? What do you mean? You don't understand? Oh, do you mean the hate from the right or the hate from the left?
The hate from the left, obviously.
Yeah, the hate from. I mean,
it's.
I don't understand.
Insane.
The libertarian hate doesn't make sense, but.
Yeah, well, he wants to take control of the state and they don't want the state to exist. So I get that.
Mm-hmm.
He is very deliberate in how he tries to influence public opinion. Rufo suggested branding.
Oh, wait a second here. And we should be not deliberate about how we shape public opinion? What the fuck is your entire show, you moron? What are you doing right now? Why is your mouth? Why are you flapping your gums right now if you're not trying to shape public opinion?
Mm-hmm.
I hate hypocrisy. He's just such a fucking piece of shit.
Look,
right now you're trying to shape public opinion, and you're trying to just like hurt people in the process.
Yeah, but he's on the quote right side of history, so
no,
okay.
Christopher Rufo's on the right side of history.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry. It's sorry that the conservatives are the only one are protecting individual freedom now.
Right.